This is Kelly Coughlin, CEO of BankBosun, helping bank C-suite execs navigate risk and discover reward in a sea of threats and opportunities. I used to sing an Irish song to my 4 girls when they were young called John O'Dreams. It's one of my favorites, and the song went like this.
The prince and the plowman, the slave and the free man, all find their comfort in old John, a dream. All find their comfort in old John, a dream.
So John O'Dreams is like the Sandman representing sleep. What's that have to do with BankBosun and bankers? Well, all of us need our sleep, even brilliant, successful bankers. And who better to help you sleep than...
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Mike Lindell, CEO of MyPillow.com. Mike, are you there?
Yes, I am. It's great to be here.
Great. Mike, many thanks for taking the time to do this interview. I'm not sure if you know this, but you've become somewhat of a cult celebrity figure from your MyPillow ads on TV, I guess. So congratulations on being a Minnesota rock star.
Okay. Thank you.
I want to focus kind of on the business part of things, but I do have one question for you on your recent ad change. There you are, waking up in this couple's bedroom with your pillow. I mean, Mike, don't some of the Iron Rangers in Minnesota raise their eyebrows a bit at that?
I don't know which ad you've seen, but I'm actually in their mirror. They open up their cabinet in the morning when they get up and say, you're that guy, the MyPillow guy. And then we go from there, and then I go to their bedroom, see what they're sleeping on with their pillows and correct them, and we go, the problems they have with their current pillows. So, but it's been amazing, that ad and the other ads that we've made right now.
Yeah, well, I'm really intrigued about your ad spend and your budget and your ROI on that. But before we get into that, as much as I'd like to give you the opportunity to promote the pillows, I think we'll focus on the business part of MyPillow.com company. Some of the background on you personally, and then in business, how did you get started, the history of MyPillow, especially the early foundation years?
Well, I've always been an entrepreneur. My last job was in the 1980s where I worked for someone, but I had a carpet cleaning business and I had a lunch wagon business and I had some bar and restaurants that I bought. But everything I did, I go to a bank. I had other problems with the bank. So when I started MyPillow, I actually spent 2 years inventing it, and I had sold the bar that I had at the time, and I ran the money completely down to nothing. So when I finally had the MyPillow invented, I mortgaged our house to the hill. I had 4 little kids, and we were all in, and that's all we had left in the world was just a few pillows and a dream.
You started this up in northern Minnesota? Is that where you're from?
I'm from half hour west of Minneapolis. It's my hometown. I grew up in Chaska, Minnesota. And when I invented the pillow, it took a couple of years. I actually had, like I said, I didn't have any money left. And I walked into box stores. I said, how many would you like? And they laughed at me. And I had people laugh that you're never going to get a patent on a pillow and all these different things. And then a friend of mine finally said, why don't you do a kiosk? I said, how do you spell that? I didn't know what a kiosk was. And I ended up doing this kiosk. We only sold like 80 pillows. One of the guys that had bought one there actually called me in January of that year and said, are you the guy that invented this pillow from Minnesota? He said, this pillow changed my life. And he said, I run the Minneapolis Home and Garden Show. Would you like a spot in there? And that started where I did shows for 7 years, home shows and fairs and any place there was people.
Did you man the booth personally yourself in the early years?
Yeah, I did everything. Made the pillows, faced a lot of adversity. People tried to take the company. I had my own demons. I was a crack cocaine addict. So I had a lot of problems. But yeah, I did the booth. I did all my own manufacturing, learned how to sew. I worked out of a little garage. I took any phone calls, myself, my family. We did everything ourselves, everything. The design on the packaging, we still do to this day. We do everything ourselves.
How did you get your funding, your startup funding?
That was that's when I mortgaged my house, and I had money from a business I had sold a couple of years earlier, but I, with 4 kids and not working at the time, just inventing this pillow, I had nothing. So basically, I took every money I made at a show, I would roll it back in to buy product the next time, or to buy raw materials, and so I didn't have any funding. I never have.
Ownership, has that always stayed the same since inception?
Yeah, I'm the majority owner in the company. I've had stock picks, my friends and employees and stuff that I've given away, and a couple of employees have let buy into back in the day, and so it's like a big family.
Why pillows? How did you how did you select that industry of all the things to get into? What was it about the pillow industry?
Well, I've always had problems with pillows. Even you go back when I was 16 years old, and I worked at a grocery store in Chaska, Minnesota, and one of my first paychecks, I went and bought a pillow. It was 1977. I said, if I go out and buy a pillow, maybe it'll work. And it didn't. It was a down pillow. I got it home and it didn't work. I couldn't return it. And I don't know, maybe it was my calling, but I just had problems all my life. Pillows that would go flat. I'd use my arm, headaches, neck aches. I'd have all these things that I knew the pillows were the problem. And I tried every pillow throughout my life and nothing ever worked. Basically, on my own necessity, at first, I'm going, I want something you can move and adjust and it would make it fit me rather than trying to fit the pillow. And kept thinking to myself, wow, they make all different size clothes for people. How could they give us a pillow and say it's going to work for all of us, and none of them ever do?
Which pillows or which type of pillows were you trying to compete with?
No, there was nothing out there like MyPillow. I had a dream of the logo, and I wrote the logo all over the house. MyPillow. My daughter came upstairs, one of my daughters, in the middle of the night. She's like 9 or 10 years old. She says, what are you doing, Dad? And I said, I'm going to invent this amazing pillow. And she grabbed her water, and she said, that's really random. And she went back downstairs. And then I just had an idea. I wanted something that you could adjust and move. It wasn't necessarily what was going to be inside it. I wanted it to be soft like down, but I wanted it to be support. I wanted it to have everything you'd ever want in a pillow. If you asked every single person, what would you like in a pillow? Whatever they came out of their mouth, MyPillow would have. And I was so particular once, I tried over 94 different kinds of foams and stuff to go inside a pillow and pour stuff on the deck. One of my sons and I, every day we get home from school, and we're trying different things like some mad scientist. And so it was a lot of trial and error, and I would get close. And then once I had it invented, I wanted it so you could wash and dry it. In pillows, traditionally, you couldn't do that before, and I wanted it to last. So I put a 10-year warranty on. Then the washing and drying, adding that to the mix, that took another 2 months. I reverse engineered what the product should be and all the problems I had and why they didn't work, and then you just solved each problem. So you it was like a reverse engineering of what I wanted. Say, okay, this pillow goes flat. Well, let's make it so it won't go flat at night. Well, this one here, I want to be able to wash dry. Let's make it you can wash and dry. Well, this pillow, it feels soft, but you can't adjust it. Everybody's shoulders are different. So there was a lot of that went into the inventing of it.
What kind of traditional business school things did you do when you got into this business? Did you look at your market? You looked at your competitors? You looked at price points? Looked at demand? How are you going to fill that? You kind of said, to hell with all that. I'm not going to do that. Did you do any analytics before you got neck deep into this on pricing and market demand or anything like that?
I did absolutely no analytics. I just, throughout my life, I thought, wow, am I the only one out there that has problems with pillows and sleep? And I started asking around, and it wasn't just me. Every single person had the same problem. So many people at that time thought, oh, that's your bed, or everyone got complacent, just said, oh, I just sleep. I guess when we get older, we just, our sleep is worse, and we have insomnia, all these problems associated with sleep. Well, I didn't buy that for a minute. I didn't believe it. So my philosophy was, you solve these problems, and if I can do that for myself, and then these other passing out, I gave some to other people to try, and it solved everybody's sleep problems. So I'm going, if you do that, and then the price points and stuff came later, and I actually got myself in a lot of trouble selling them at a lower price at one point, and then with my marketing, if you want to talk about that in a minute, I just wanted to help people get great sleep, and then I didn't know anything about indirect costs, direct costs, and all these other things at the time.
Interesting. So you claim that they are made in Minnesota. Where do you get all your materials?
My patented foam is made in Wisconsin. I've never changed off of that. It's a formula that they've tried to duplicate other places they can't. So that's in my neighboring state of Wisconsin. The foam gets poured there. I get the stuff. I run it through my machine that I have patented that makes the different sizes. There's 3 different sizes that all go into the pillow. One's the size of a quarter, one's the size of a dime, and one's the size of down, and then they're all mixed together proportionally in these other machines. The fabric got cotton grown here in both California and the Carolinas. We do all our own cutting, sewing. We have machines that fill. I have over 1,500 employees now. So we do everything in Minnesota. I have 2 factories in Chaska, my neighboring town. I guess we have about 350,000 square feet now of factory, and then I have right outside as I'm sitting here my own call center because when I did shows for 7 years, I knew at those shows what kept me going is people kept coming up and telling other people that already had the pillow then, this is the most amazing product I've ever used. Not pillow, product. And I'm getting all this amazing feedback, and it's just kept me going. That was so powerful. I like helping people. Then I said, you know what? If nobody will take my pillow, I'm going to bring it to the people. So I did my own infomercial in the summer of 2011, and it aired. It was a real audience, just me and a friend of mine. I had never been on TV before, and it launched October 7th, 2011, and I had 5 employees, and 40 days later, I had 500 employees.
All right, how much did that infomercial cost you? Do you recall?
To produce it was $150,000 or $200,000, something like that. But I was told I needed movie stars and all this. I said, why? I think people are tired. They just want honesty, and they're tired of seeing infomercials that are playing this and do this. And it was, like I say, it was a real audience. And then I just told my friends and family, I didn't have any money. I said, you guys, if we all put in money on this, I said, we're going to be the biggest infomercial ever. And they all believed me. And I didn't know most infomercials fail in this country. And by December 26th of 2011, we were the number 1 infomercial in the world.
How many people did you get in on funding that infomercial?
It was just, I don't know, maybe 20 of us, my friends and family. We all just threw in everything we could and to just get it going. But over the next 6 months, then we took in tens of millions of dollars. And because every ad that went out, we're making the pillows. It was a miracle. We all got out in time. But the bigger companies didn't believe me that I was going to get that big that quick. So we didn't get good pricing on raw materials. We were took advantage of. I learned so much from the spring of 2012 because my advertising dollars were spent on audience that weren't my audience, and I didn't know they were bad at the time. It's like batting a 100 hitter instead of batting all your 300 hitters. We took in all those tens of millions, and we were in the hole by June, and I'm going, what's happened here? And when you look at nowadays, the stuff I learned then, every ad you ever see for MyPillow, I view that as my only business, that particular ad, that at that moment in time. So if that doesn't make its number in direct sales, I never re-up it again. And I do that for every ad you ever see. I don't do branding. I get direct marketing where I'm getting direct sales from that ad. And then you get the branding comes secondary. I know where every ad dollar, I know my audience so well. I know my demographics. I know who's buying. You think everybody needs a pillow, but everybody doesn't buy a pillow. The millennials are really one group that's really hard to crack. I do the same thing for my customers. I view every customer like it's my only customer. That's been the success of MyPillow because I can spend $1.5 million a week on advertising it easy. And if I have an ad that went out that didn't make us money, I would never do it again. If every company in this country knew where to spend their advertising dollar and knew they were actually getting a good return on it and didn't advertise the things that didn't work, product costs in this country would go way down because you wouldn't have all that wasted advertising out there.
So in 2016, the election year, you spent quite a bit of money on advertising at Fox, CNN, and I'm sure many others during that period. How much did you spend in 2016?
By the way, it's not just CNN and Fox. We do 18,000 radio reads a week. Radio is one of our biggest venues too. In TV, we do hundreds of stations across the country, but we probably spend $1.5 million a week times 52.
In TV and radio, or just TV?
That's probably just TV.
So that's the biggest, that's one of the biggest parts of your budget because you go direct. You're not doing anything wholesale, correct?
No. Well, we do, we have some box stores. We do a little bit of wholesaling, but we're in some stores across the country too. But that's not our biggest thing is direct to the consumer. That's our biggest part of our business. And I love that part. I love being on TV. We do our own advertisements. It's really easy in radio because the radio hosts, you get them and their families believing in the product, and nothing better to sell if you're a radio host, if you believe in the product you're selling, that it's helping you, just like it's going to help someone else. So
I heard that Dana Perino on Fox News one time was singing your jingle, and I thought, man, that's got to be terrific for you.
Yeah. I was just at the White House for the Made in America. I got to meet that last summer, Mr. Trump, the president. He called me to meet him before he was elected. And he was all about meeting me and talking about, wow, Mike, your company's everything I want in this country. And he goes, you have all these employees. And we talked about the inner cities and stuff. Well, here then I get invited a year later to the White House where all these other manufacturers were there. And what an amazing time. We talked about how it's so important that there's stuff being made here. And it was quite an honor to be there for that.
I know you attended the Trump rally, and certainly you're a big supporter of Trump. That, of course, can be politically toxic these days. Has it helped or hurt your business?
Right. Well, like I say, for me, it's been an easy decision because of that meeting I had with him last summer. I wasn't political before that, and then when I met him, I was all in that he would be the best president ever. I still stand by that. I know where his heart is. I know what he's going to do. It's too bad he gets attacked all the time. I actually went to the third debate. I was in the spin room. I went all in. I spoke at the Minnesota rally 2 days before the election when he flew in here to talk. So I just know this was what I was supposed to do, and we let the chips fall where they fell, and it hasn't hurt us. If someone doesn't want to buy a pillow because I met a guy that I know is going to help this country and it aligned with what I'm going to do with the stuff I'm doing with the inner cities and my foundation, we align perfectly, and I have access now to be able to do that, to help all these things. I've been very blessed with this platform to help people, and that aligns with the president. So would I change anything? Absolutely not. Would I ever change what I do? No.
Well, that's just great, Mike. It's quite a success story, and I think it's terrific. Do you have any of your favorite quotes or sayings or any beliefs you want to share with us that kind of capture what helped get you through your challenging years?
I want to say a couple things. The one thing about manufacturing here in the U.S., I want to tell people, this is what when I was just at the White House, this got brought up, is anyone that thinks they're saving a bunch of money by going over and getting it made overseas, if you're a small entrepreneur and you've got to realize your money is tied up for 3 months, those boats are coming, take 2 months, 6 to 8 weeks to get here. Now, if your market changes, let's say you get too big, they're not here in time, you end up air shipping them in, or let's say by the time it gets here, your market's changed and now you're sitting on all that inventory, or if it's not what quality you expected, you have that, it becomes quite costly. So there's so many things that I don't think people realize. And then if you get in trouble, what happens then is big companies will come in and try and gobble you up and give you pennies on a dollar because they have the money to do it where you didn't have that money to do that. So that was one of the things we made in the USA. And I firmly believe that people nowadays, where we're at, that I would say, by telling people you are made here, I think it's at least a 20% lift in sales. That's just my opinion. When you talk about perseverance and as an entrepreneur or business owner, say I faced a lot of adversity. It's quite a story of hope from a crack cocaine addict to where I'm at now. I quit everything by the grace of God, January 16, 2009, everything overnight. And I'm doing so much nationally with all these different places like your Teen Challenges, your Union Gospels, Salvation Army, all these places to help people in that area. But as far as entrepreneurs, if you don't believe in your own product, it has to start there, and it has to start, not giving up. If something happens, I see it happen all the time because I get approached by entrepreneurs and inventors and everything all the time. They'll get one little obstacle, number one, out of fear. They won't get it out there. They're afraid to jump in out of fear. Boy, what if I fail? What if I fail? And that's one thing that they block from even starting. But then when they do come across something that happens to them that's a little adversity they're facing, but might seem devastating at the time, you look back on that and you're going, wow, that had to happen. I mean, I can look back at MyPillow and so many different things happened, and I look back, I go, wow, that had to happen at the time. And you come through it and you learn from it, and you look back later on, you go, wow, that had to happen. That wasn't so bad. That was meant to be.
Well, Mike, I hope I get a chance to meet you sometime. It sounds like you are just one heck of a business executive, but more importantly, a terrific human being. I appreciate your time on this podcast, and I encourage all our listeners to go out and order 1 or 2 pillows from mypillow.com and tell them BankBosun sent you, and they won't know what the heck you're talking about. Mike, I wish you the best of luck and success going forward. Thanks again.
Thanks a lot. Bye.